Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and thank you for being here today. For those of you who are coming here for the first time, if you are interested in tarot cards, tarot readings, true crime cases, unsolved crime cases, and the occasional candle making video, please consider subscribing. For those of you who come back every week, I thank you so much. In fact, I want to do something again to show my gratitude. I am actually getting close to the 1,000 subscriber mark, which I know is small for a lot of people, but it's actually big for me, and I'm really excited about it. And so one of the things that I want to do to show my gratitude to all of you is when I reach that 1,000, I want to start doing live readings once a week. And so it would be something maybe an hour long once a week, and I could come on, and of course I would have a pre-scheduled time so people could plan around it. But I would come on about once a week and just pull cards for you guys. You guys could just ask questions in the comment section, and I would do readings for everyone. It could be any kind of question, whatever, I don't mind. And so I do want to start doing that. But like I said, it'll probably be once I've hit that 1,000 mark, and then that way I can post questions and post dates of when I can come on and times of when I can do that. And so it'll be a little bit easier to communicate with you guys once I reach that 1,000. So that's something that I plan on doing. Also, someone in the comment section or a viewer asked last week if I would ever consider doing tarot classes online. And I've never really given that a thought before. Tarot is definitely something that everyone can learn. It is a skill. If you really truly want to learn tarot, you can absolutely learn it, but it is something that you're constantly reading up on and learning. And I have taken several classes online throughout the years. One of my favorite tarot teachers is a lady by the name of Gina Spriggs. Very, very good teacher. Really, really loved her method of teaching. Very intuitive teacher. Yes, it's important to know those basic fundamental definitions, but there's so much more to it than that. And I do have all of my notes from all of her classes that I've taken, and I would love to share her little tips and tricks. And so it would probably be more like maybe a 3 or 4 part series. And this would just be something I would post. Of course, I'm not charging for anything like that. I know a lot of these big, well-known tarot readers out there, or psychics or mediums, they charge an arm and a leg for tarot classes. And yeah, I can see why they do that, but I could never see myself doing that. And so this would just be a 3 or 4 part series of videos, maybe divided up with the major arcana, minor court cards, and kind of, I don't know, I haven't really thought about it too much. So I just wanted to throw that out there and see what you guys thought, and let me know if that's something that you would be interested. And if it is, I'll go ahead and start planning it. So for today's reading, and I do want to mention, I am really, really behind on my fragrance review and candle making view videos. That is coming soon. It's just been a really extremely busy week with Mother's Day and trying to get my bundles up, and making candles and new fragrances coming in. And so I just haven't had an opportunity to make a video, but that is definitely coming soon. So for those of you who watch any of the candle making videos, I thank you, and I haven't forgotten about you. All right, so today's case is the case of, or the disappearance of, Jennifer Kesse. Now, I'm going to read just the basic background on Wikipedia. That is a very, very watered down version, but I don't like to spend too much time on the background, because I feel like if anybody has requested a video, it's because they're familiar with that video. Most of us are probably familiar with the majority of these cases, and I try to minimize the time talking about it and reading the background and focus more of the time on the tarot reading. So I do want to just read a little bit though, so that we are kind of on the same page, and then we'll get right into it. So Jennifer Joyce Kesse was born on May 20th, 1981, and is an American woman from Orlando, Florida, who has been missing since January 23rd, 2006. Shortly after she vanished, her car was discovered parked around a mile from her home. A local security camera recorded a person who could not be identified parking Kesse's car and walking away. The case has received local and national press attention. Jennifer was a graduate of Vivian Gaither High School in Tampa, Florida. Kesse attended the University of Central Florida in Orlando and graduated in 2003 with a degree in finance. At the time of her disappearance, she was working as a finance manager at Central Florida Investments Timeshare Company and had recently bought a condominium home in Orlando. The weekend before she vanished, Kesse had vacationed with her boyfriend on St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. She returned on Sunday. She stayed the night at her boyfriend's home and then drove straight to work on the Monday morning of January 23rd, 2006. Kesse was seen for the last time leaving work at approximately 6 p.m. on January 23rd. She spoke by phone with her father while driving home at around 6:15, and then with her boyfriend at around 10 p.m. She was in the habit of texting or telephoning her boyfriend before leaving for work, so it was very unusual when she did neither of those the next morning. His call to her went to voicemail. When Kesse failed to arrive at work, her employer contacted her parents, who began the 2-hour drive from their home to hers. Her parents noticed that her car was missing but saw nothing out of the ordinary in her home. A wet towel and clothes laid out, among other things, suggested that she had showered, dressed, and prepared for work that morning. Friends and family distributed flyers about Kesse that evening, and the Orlando Police Department organized search parties on foot and on horseback, as well as by boat, helicopter, car, and ATV. So, from my understanding, is that she was pretty routine, took her job seriously, wasn't the type of person that would go to work late or not show up. Always called her boyfriend in the morning on her way to work, and none of those happened on this particular morning. And so it was a really big red flag. And she was also very, what's the word I'm looking for? Conscientious about her surroundings as far as safety is concerned. She would make what they call safety phone calls. Her family describes them as that, where if anything was going on and she felt unsafe, if she was walking from her condo to her car or vice versa, she would make sure that she was on the phone talking to someone. And she did that for safety reasons, which is a really good tip. So, it's unfortunate and sad that this happened to somebody who took these extra measures for safety. Now, there's a lot of debate about whether whatever happened to her happened the night before or the morning of. Okay, so apparently the night before, she was talking to her boyfriend, and I believe that evening, I don't know if it was around 10, I think this article says 10, I think that's when they ended their conversation, if I'm not mistaken. They had been talking for a couple of hours at that point, but I believe while she was on the phone with her boyfriend, there was a knock at her door. And she told her boyfriend that it was her neighbor, and that she was not going to answer the phone, she was not going to open the door for her neighbor at that point. So there's a lot of concern about this knock and whether or not it was truly her neighbor. Okay, so very strange. Also, another thing I want to mention is that this condominium, I think, was pretty up and coming. It was fairly new. There weren't a lot of residents in this unit where she was living. I believe it was just her and another person, if I'm not mistaken. This was under construction. It was just being built. She was one of the first owners, along with her neighbor, and there were a lot of immigrant or workers, Hispanic workers, doing the construction at this point. I believe that Jennifer had mentioned to her family or friends on some occasions about how she felt a little bit uneasy with so many of these workers around her condominium. When she would leave or go to her car or come in, they would look at her, they would stare at her, and they would make comments. Now, I don't think that she was fluent in Spanish or anything like that, but I do think that she knew enough of it to be able to know what they were saying, and it made her uncomfortable. And so one of the theories in this case is that possibly one of these workers could have done something to her. So we're going to keep that in mind. Another concern is her ex-boyfriend. So remember, the article said that she went to St. Croix with her current boyfriend But she also had an ex-boyfriend that happened to be, coincidentally, friends with her younger brother. So when her and the current boyfriend went to St. Croix on their vacation, she gave permission to her younger brother and her ex-boyfriend, because they were close, to stay in her condominium. And, you know, there's some concern about the ex-boyfriend that, you know, perhaps he was still in love with her, and, you know, could he have been jealous? I believe that he was at a local bar close by her condominium the night that she was talking to her current boyfriend, and the night that she got this knock on the door. I believe her ex-boyfriend was in the area at a bar. He had been drinking that night. So he has an alibi, and I think he's been ruled out as a suspect, but there is, I do want to put that out there, an ex-boyfriend theory. And then, of course, we have sex trafficking, which I want to keep an eye out for any cards that could indicate possible sex trafficking, which to me would be a devil, the devil card. It could be the 8 of Swords. It could be the 9 of Swords, something like that. If that comes out, we'll consider that. And then there's also the ex-coworker theory as well. Apparently there was a coworker, not ex, I should say, but a coworker at that time. There was a coworker that kind of had an inappropriate relationship with her, or was trying to send emails, or just making her feel uncomfortable. And so there's that theory as well. And then I think that's actually all of the theories that I wanted to mention. So we're going to see what comes up in the reading. All right, so for today's reading, I have got the Everyday Witches Tarot. Why did I say that? The Haunted House Tarot. Maybe that's a sign that I should use the Everyday Witches Tarot. I don't know. Might. I've got the Haunted House Tarot and the Lo Scarabeo Tarot. I'm going to actually start with the Haunted House Tarot because I really, really like this deck when I'm reading on a female. I just feel like it really tunes into this person and focuses on this person. So I'm going to start out with that. And the first question that I want to ask is whether this happened, whatever this is, whether it happened to her the night before or the morning of, or was this a continuation? Who was the person that knocked at her door? Okay, and does that have anything to do with what happened ultimately? All right, Jennifer Kesse. When did this take place? All right, so when I'm looking for hours of the day, I'm literally looking at the images of the card. Sorry about that. I'm literally looking at the images on the card and whether or not, for example, the sun card would be a good indication that it happened the morning of, because you think of the rising sun. So anything like that, that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for as far as clues about the time of the disappearance or what happened time-wise. All right, so when did this happen? Did this happen the night before or the morning of? When did this happen? The night before or morning of? Okay. Oh, okay, so the first card that fell out, it just fell to the floor, is the Devil. Yeah, that's not a good sign. So, for that to be the first card. And for the Devil, the first thing that I think of is possibly the sex trafficking. The Devil, and I think I mentioned that, the Devil is typically my sex traffic card. Let me ask my question again, though. Did this happen the night before or in the morning? When did this occur? Oh, another one fell out. Oh, two of them fell out. All right. So we've got... Jesus. We've got Justice and the Ace of Wands. Okay, I'm gonna wait on the time of which this took place and just kind of see what comes out throughout the reading. But honestly, this is not a good sign. Not all tarot decks are the same with their Justice cards. Sometimes the scales are balanced, sometimes they're not. In this particular deck, I noticed right away that the scales are not balanced, and so there hasn't been justice in this case yet. But this is something that, to me, with this Ace of Wands, I don't necessarily think it was premeditated. I think that this was something of opportunity. You know, one of the things that I'm looking at with this particular card, the Devil, which I don't like that was the first card that fell out, literally fell out to the floor. One thing I don't like about that card is it looks like these two people here are held hostage. Now, someone has mentioned that it's possible that one of these workers, one of these construction workers, could have possibly abducted Jennifer from the parking lot that morning, and perhaps was even holding her hostage in one of the empty condominiums. And so it has actually been speculated, was it possible that while the police and while Jennifer's family and friends were at her condominium, was Jennifer still being held someplace else in the condominium, in a unfinished condo? Is that a possibility? And this here kind of, to me, says that it is definitely a possibility that she was being held someplace close by. And quite frankly, she might not have been the only one. There could have been someplace out, or someone else. But at the same time, I do feel like this was an opportunity that arose. This was not something that was planned on or anything like that. There's no justice in this case yet. So obviously, let's see. And this one here, this Justice card here kind of almost makes me think of jealousy. I get a jealousy vibe from this one. And Justice is not a card that you would probably think of jealousy. But this one, the way the image is, the way she's looking behind her, and the way these two women look behind her, I get a feeling of jealousy. It almost reminds me of the Five of Swords in this deck. The Five of Swords and the Justice are kind of similar, and I get jealousy vibes from that. So let's see what else we can get. All right, I want to ask, did Jennifer make it to her car? Did Jennifer make it to her car on the morning of January 23rd, 2006? Did Jennifer make it to her car? So we've got the Empress. Honestly, I feel like, sorry about my phone, guys. I honestly feel like this is kind of going with this one, in that it was a birth of an idea. It was an opportunity. It was something that just kind of came about. But isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting so far we've pulled women? We have only pulled women. The Devil is a woman. The Justice is a woman. Now we've got the Empress. This is kind of making me wonder if there is a woman involved, possibly. Now, I know that when her car was found, there was security footage that captured the person backing her car in, parking her car, and getting out and walking away. And I watched a YouTube video about this case, and the person actually said that he thinks that this person looked like a young, thin Hispanic man wearing a man bun. And when I looked at it, that is exactly what I see as well. And so, but we don't know if this person is the person who is responsible for what happened to her. Is he somebody that was just paid to move her car? park her car? Is it somebody that, is this a group thing? Is this one person? We don't know. But right now, what I'm seeing here on the table is 3 women. And that devil is a woman. Most of the time in these decks, the devil is not represented by a female, and it is in this one. So, what did I say about this one? I said this is jealousy. This reminds me of jealousy. Was there a jealous woman that could be behind this? Is this something to do with the female? Let me ask about the young man parking her car. Is this young man who parked her car, and I'm going to ask just a yes or no, is the young man who parked her car, is he the one that is responsible for Jennifer going missing? The young man who's on video surveillance, is he responsible? Yes or no? Oh, well, he's definitely not to be trusted. So this is a, oh, Jesus, here, I thought my phone was off. Okay. So this is the strength card, and I'm going to just flip it upside down here so we can look at it. But this is the strength reversed, and so this would definitely, you know, tell me that this is somebody that you can't be trusted. This could also indicate somebody who has anger issues that cannot control their anger. Okay, so that would be how I would interpret a reversed strength, because you can think of the strength card as somebody who, you know, think of the word tame. Usually there's a lion in this card, and so I guess there is right up here, but usually she's standing next to a lion, and so it can sometimes indicate taming that inner anger inside of you, or that inner beast, right? And so this is somebody, when it's reversed, somebody that you can't trust, and somebody who has anger issues, and it is a woman. So and I know that this deck is based off of a woman, so we have to keep that in mind. It may just be because of the deck that I'm using, but we have another woman involved. And as far as a yes or a no to my question, is this person involved? Yeah, that I do think that he is involved to an extent. What can we learn about this person on the video footage? What can we learn about the video footage? Okay, so I don't think that he is the person that's totally responsible. He's obviously involved because he was driving her car, right? We don't need tarot cards to tell us that. But this does tell me that there's some form of money involved. Was this person paid to move her car? I would say, yeah, chances are this was a person who was paid to move her car, get rid of the evidence, whatever, what have you, but not ultimately the person that is solely responsible for what happened to her. Was Jennifer held in the condominiums? Was Jennifer held for a period of time in the condominiums? Was Jennifer held for a period of time in the condominiums? So we've got the 6 of Wands. All right, so this kind of makes me feel like, you know, honestly, I don't think that there's just one person involved in this. I think we've got several. I think we've got several people that are behind this, even though I still consider this to be an impromptu decision. I do kind of feel like there's more than one, there's more than two, there's possibly even more than 3 people involved in her disappearance. And I do feel at least one of those people is a woman. But this definitely kind of tells me that it's a possibility that you know, she was being kind of watched. Look at this, though. Look at this card. Okay, this is a person who says that when she would go from her apartment to her car, or vice versa, that she would have these construction workers watching her. That is what this card reminds me of. This is definitely showing me her going into her complex, or her condominium, and these are definitely the construction workers watching her. So just in the first 7 cards that I've pulled, I do feel like this is actually pointing more towards the construction workers, and possibly a female that is affiliated with them somehow. All right. I want to know, did this happen in the morning? Did this happen in the morning when she was on her way to work? Did this happen in the morning? Four of Cups. You know, I think I read somewhere that she was kind of not in such a great mood the night before. I believe her friend has come out that night before. You know, you have to remember that her and her boyfriend, Jennifer and the boyfriend, just came back from this 4 or 5 day vacation. She went to work immediately, and I believe her boyfriend lived about 4 hours from where she lived. And so she decided to spend an extra night with him, and she got up really early the next morning and drove straight from his place to work. You know, she was exhausted. So that evening, you know, she put in a whole full day of work. She gets out of work at 6 o'clock. She's talking to several people in the evening. She speaks to her dad. She speaks to her friend. She speaks to her boyfriend. You know, and I believe that the friend actually came out and said, you know, you could tell that she was tired. She was kind of grouchy. She was irritated. I do feel like that is definitely coming out. She was not in the best of moods that night. Did she have a drink? Did she have a glass of wine, perhaps? We've got several cups here. This really makes me want to focus more attention on the knock at the door at her apartment that night. So who knocked on her door? Who knocked on Jennifer Kesse's door the night before she went missing? Who knocked on Jennifer Kesse's door the night before she went missing? Who knocked on Jennifer Kesse's door the night before she went missing? Okay, so I do feel like definitely I was hoping that the sun would come out, and I do feel like it's less to do with the night before, more morning. And that sun card was what I was really hoping to come out to give me a definitive answer, and I do feel like this is something that definitely happened in the morning. I think that the knock on the door the night before was strange, and you know, to me, this is representing Jennifer the night before. I think that whoever knocked on the door, she was not in the least interested in entertaining them. This may have been a neighbor who wanted to come in and chit chat. Maybe, you know, she knew that Jennifer had just gotten back, and I don't know, maybe she wanted to come in and have a drink or talk about her vacation, or whoever it was. I believe that the intentions were to come in and possibly have a drink or a glass of wine, talk about vacation, talk about whatever, and Jennifer just was not having it. It just wasn't something that she was in the mood for. She was tired. She wanted to go to bed. And then that leads us to the following morning or the next morning. And so that is when I think that all of this took place, was the next morning. So let me get these out of the way here. And let's just pull like 3 or 4 cards and see if we can kind of get the story of what happened that morning. Actually, no, I do want to pull one more yes or no question. Jesus, Pete. I do want to pull one more yes or no question. I want to know if Jennifer Kesse is still alive. Is Jennifer Kesse still alive? So the five of swords, that is not necessarily a good card to pull. Honestly, if I had to guess based off of this particular card, I would choose, or I would probably say no. That would be what I'm leaning towards. You know, that's just, and again, we've got a female, we've got jealousy, we've got something going on with jealousy. But whatever happened, I do believe happened in the morning. And I do think that there is some association with possibly the construction workers. But there's something nagging at me that there's another person involved in this, and it possibly is either a woman or somebody who was immensely jealous of Jennifer. Now, Jennifer is very beautiful. I mean, she just looks stunning. She's intelligent. She's educated. She has a good career. You know, you just look at her and she looks just perfection, okay? And so I can't you know, get rid of this feeling of a female possibly in her life that absolutely could not stand her. Okay, so as far as my question though, that's not a good answer. So let's see here. Okay, let me pull that out. Let's see here if we can pull a few cards and just see what the story is. All right, so we've got the Knight of Pentacles. I do think that there was money involved. This could also represent an association with work. Seven of Pentacles. Was there something on her mind? Was she thinking about something? Was something going on? Something. Okay, so now that the story is coming out, we've got some money involved. Yeah, so we've got the King of Swords and we've got the Knight of Pentacles. So we've got two people here. We've got two males. Something was bothering her. Okay, and possibly an older person. And then we've got Judgment. Okay. So the Judgment sometimes bothers me as well. That is, you know, it's kind of like it sometimes can represent death for me, to be honest with you. So we've got three men here, and from the Four of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles, that tells me that there was something on her mind. There was something that was bugging her. This is also a rest card. I do believe that that is coming out because she was exhausted. I think she was very, very tired. I think that is coming out tremendously in this reading. She was not in the mood to entertain. Whoever knocked on her door that night, it really almost, I would say, irritated her. It really wasn't in the mood, but we've got other players in this. We've got at least four other players in this, and one of them, I'm sticking to my guns, is a woman. We've got an older man, okay, somebody a little bit younger, somebody a little bit younger. I would venture to say that this Knight of Pentacles is the person who parked her car. So that's who I think this is. I think this is somebody who was paid to go ahead and do the dirty work, move her car, you know, just whatever. And I do believe that this person probably only went so far because he had to walk back to the condominiums, right? So I believe that we read that the car was, her car was found only a mile or so away, and that would be enough to maybe throw people off, and also close enough for this person to go back from where he came from, which I do believe is the condominium. I think that this is him. Okay, and so now we've also got this King of Swords, which is definitely in this deck somebody that is calculating. This is these two here are the masterminds behind this whole thing, even though I still think that this was impromptu because of that Ace of Wands. I do think that this was almost an opportunity, but we've got two guys here that you don't want to mess with. This is somebody that is, and this is the Magician, okay? Keep that in mind. And I kind of feel like this is somebody associated with the condominiums. I really do. I feel like there is possibly a cover-up with the people behind. I don't know anything about these condominiums, but when you look at it, he looks like a butler, right? He looks like somebody that is opening the door to this fancy house or hotel or whatever. He's got the key to every room. He just kind of has that butler vibe to him. And this makes me feel like this could potentially be an owner of the condominiums, or somebody that has a master key to all of the condominiums, somebody that can go in and out, a trickster kind of type person. And this makes me feel very kind of shady about the condominiums in and of itself. There's something going on with, I think, definitely the construction workers and somebody even above them. This here is somebody who is calculating, somebody sneaky. These two here are not good. And I do think that there was something bothering her. There was something else bothering her. something else was bugging her that she wasn't necessarily sharing with people. I don't know what it is or what it was, but there was something bothering her. I don't know if she kind of felt, I almost kind of feel like there was something about the condominiums that she didn't necessarily like, and she may not have told anyone that. And I think she was trying to figure out what to do. I really do. I think she was trying to figure out how she was going to get out of this situation. Was she going to sell? Was she going to find a new place? Was she trying to get out of there? Was she trying to just deal with it? There's something going on with the condominium. Yeah, something's going on here. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my other tarot deck here and see what we can get. Let's see. All right, tell us the story of what happened with Jennifer Kesse. Tell us the story of what happened with Jennifer. Tell us what happened to Jennifer Kesse. What happened to Jennifer Kesse? What happened to Jennifer Kesse? I think that vacation that she had with her current boyfriend really was a nice reprieve for her to get away from whatever was bothering her. I do feel like there was something bothering her, and I think it could have had something to do with work, but there was something else bothering her as far as the condominium. And I don't know if it was just the construction workers or if it was something else. I'd be curious to know about the neighbor at that time. I know she told her boyfriend that it was the neighbor knocking on the door. I don't know if that's true, but I think that whoever knocked on that door, it really irritated her. And I don't think that this person who knocked on the door was anyone that I would consider a true friend. All right, so we've got the Hermit reversed. I am trying to definitely read reversals a little bit more. And so we've also got Temperance. So Temperance in this deck does not mean temperance. Okay, it's not the definition that I think of. Okay, this is a concoction. This is something that was given to someone. When I'm reading on true crime, that's what I look at this particular card as. So this is someone who's mixing ingredients and they're cooking something up in their cauldron. And so this makes me believe that it's possible that once she was abducted, that she was actually given something to knock her out, which would explain if she was being held in the condominium that morning when authorities were there. It's possible that that's why she was not able to scream or make any kind of noise whatsoever. I do think that there was something that was administered to her. So there's that. And, you know, the Hermit is introspection. This is, I honestly, again, I'm not going by the definition in this card. This card to me looks like somebody who is looking for something. They're holding a light, right? They're walking outside. They look like they're searching. It's searching. Basically, it is kind of, if you look at the definition of introspection, it could be searching. You're searching for answers within yourself, right? But with it being reversed, I definitely think it was indicating, oh God, I hope you guys can see this. I didn't notice how horrible my lighting was here. This to me kind of makes me feel like the search for Jennifer that morning was just, it didn't happen. It just wasn't enough. And I do feel like had the police put an effort into searching all of the condominiums that morning, I think that they would have found her in one of them. I think that they would have found her and, you know, case would have been over, I think. But the search it wasn't done in the correct places. It wasn't done right away. And I think that the reason why they said that there was some issue with not being able to check some of the rooms or the condominiums was something about it being privately owned. Whatever the reason is, whatever the excuse is, I don't know if they could have searched this condominium or not. I would assume that if somebody was missing and they needed to get in, they could do that. And I feel like the fact that they didn't do that, they missed something. And I think that she was being held there, and I think that she was given something to not make noise. I want to ask really quick, there was a sighting in Tennessee, and I don't know when this sighting was. I think it might have been a while after the disappearance, and somebody claimed, the person who seen this woman claimed that she thought for sure that it was Jennifer Kesse. So was this woman in Tennessee? Was this woman Jennifer Kesse? Yes or no, was this woman Jennifer Kesse? 7. 7 of Wands. I think that that is definitely a good positive yes card. This is somebody, gosh, oh my God, my lighting is horrible. Let me see here. I do think that this is definitely overcoming any obstacles you're going for it, and so this is a positive card for me, which would be a yes. I do think that it is a possibility that that was Jennifer Kesse. Let me see. Let's just pull a few cards and see if we can get the story. Tell us, what do we need to know about Jennifer? What was the motive? Actually, I want to ask, what was the motive? What was the motive behind this? One of the motives I feel like is jealousy. I'm picking up jealousy in this reading for some reason. What was the motive? All right, so we've got the Knight of Pentacles, the Two of Cups, and the World card. So the Knight of Pentacles is, usually it's my clumsy card because of the way the original Rider-Waite image looks. It just looks like somebody that's dressed in funny clothes and is very clumsy and can't control his horse. So that's why it's my clumsy card. This here is kind of my slow card. So definitely, this is pausing, reflection, not trying to do anything quickly. And then we have kind of like a relationship card, and then World. And so when I'm looking at these and I'm asking about the motivation behind this crime, it kind of makes me feel like this has something to do with some sort of emotional feelings towards Jennifer. And I don't think that those emotional feelings were reciprocated from Jennifer. I think somebody had some feelings about her, and they really looked at her as the center of their world. And I'm going to have to pull a couple of more cards because that Ace of Wands made me feel like this was definitely not premeditated, but everything else that I've pulled since then kind of makes me feel like there was some premeditation. I don't know if definitely they meant to hurt her, but there was, I think, some feelings of, there was some definite attraction feelings, and there was some jealousy. So I'm gonna have to focus a little bit more on the ex-boyfriend. I really in my gut don't feel like the ex-boyfriend has anything to do with it, but somebody had some emotional feelings towards Jennifer. And it was not the relationship, or what they considered to be the relationship, was not moving fast enough in their minds. Things weren't happening fast enough. They wanted this relationship. They wanted a relationship with Jennifer. I don't know if they were making moves on her or they were attempting things, but there was something about this condominium bothering her. And I just wonder if there was somebody in this condominium, whether it be a construction worker, whether it be another resident, I don't know, but there was somebody in this condominium that was really bothering her. And I don't think that she had told anybody about it, but it was really starting to get to her. And I do think that that was the person who knocked on her door that night before. So and that very well could have been a neighbor. I don't know. I think that there were only a few people living in the complex at that point in time, but it could have very well been a neighbor. It could have been somebody else living there, but whoever this was had relationship intentions with Jennifer. And I do believe that whoever is behind this, I don't necessarily think that this was a trafficking situation. I know that devil came out, but I don't think that this is trafficking. I think that there's other signs that there's some feelings, emotional feelings, and jealousy coming out more than anything else. So I am going to have to re-ask the question later on about the appearance in Tennessee, because there's something, I don't know, there's something going on here. I really do feel like somebody just looked at her as being the center of their world. I think that's what the world card is representing right now. Let's see. All right, tell us this. Yeah, see, something's going on here with the relationship. The Four of Wands. Four of Wands. The Ten of Pentacles. The King of Wands. The Queen of Pentacles. I've got that woman again, and I've got I've got a reverse Chariot. So I'm not surprised that the Chariot came out. I was kind of expecting the Chariot to come out to represent her car. So I do think the fact that the Chariot is coming out, that is indicating that this did happen at the car. Okay, whatever happened at the car. So let's turn it upside down. Definitely, and I kind of feel like somebody was waiting for her at her car. I do. I feel like she left her condominium, and she probably seen somebody at her car, possibly, you know, then again, now that I'm thinking about it, we have those safety phone calls that she would always make, and I believe that her phone was turned off the night before. So that's the mystery about this case, is what... Okay, hold on a second. So we've got relationship. Definitely we've got relationship. We've got an older man, family, money, Tree of Life. I do think that whoever this is this king. I think that this is the person that, you know, if you look at all that fire, that was his feelings towards her. This is somebody that was, I would say, obsessed with her. This is somebody obsessed with her. And I do think that the car plays a role in this case. And we've got her laying down. We've got her laying down in a field. Laying down in the field. Let me see. I want to go back to the night before. What happened to her phone? Why was her phone turned off? Why was her phone turned off? The Hierophant. Why was her phone turned off? The Lovers. Lots of relationship cards coming up. And I do want to just add that the current boyfriend, I can't remember what his name is. I think it might be Rob or Bob or something like that. I'm not sure. But he has definitely been ruled out as a suspect. And I don't feel that there's any connection between him and her disappearance. I'm a little bit not sure about the ex-boyfriend Matt. I can't rule him out as quickly as I do the current boyfriend Rob. So but I don't feel, honestly, I'm not 100% thinking that Matt had anything to do with it either. I think that there is someone else. And I do think that the Hierophant is coming out because in this particular case, it does represent marriage. We've got one too many relationship cards coming here. We've got the Lovers, we've got the Two of Cups, we've got the Four of Wands. This is marriage. This is marriage. This here is relationship, marriage. You can't have this many of these cards in a reading and not have it be relationship. You've got Four of Wands, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Two of Cups. This is a marriage. This is somebody who wanted to get married, to have a relationship with her. This was somebody who was obsessed with Jennifer. This is somebody who was obsessed with Jennifer. They looked at her as being their world. She was the center of their world. Okay, they were literally obsessed with her, and I think this is somebody who tried to get close to her and earn her trust. But remember, we pulled the Strength card in the Haunted House Tarot, and it was reversed. And so this person had a different side to him. They had a completely double personality. This is somebody who was really, really nice to her when they wanted to be, when they were trying to garner her attention. But they were also the type of person that had a completely different side to them as well. They could pretend to be kind and caring and compassionate, but they had a rage. They also had a rage that they had trouble to keep in control when they were not getting their way. So this is somebody, I think, that was at the condominium, and they had some form of obsession. What happened that day? What happened that day? What happened the day that Jennifer went missing? I do think that she was put into a different room, an empty room. Tell us the story of what happened that day. What happened that day at the condominium? What happened that day at the condominium? Nine of Swords. Okay, so I do think that she was in the condominium or the complex. I don't know if these condominiums are like apartments. I don't know how they're set up. I don't know if they have a private door or if you have to go in kind of like an apartment building. I'm not quite sure how it was set up or how it looks, but I do believe that she was definitely being held in the apartment, or not the apartment, I'm sorry, in the condominium building somewhere. And I do believe that if they had searched for her, they would have found her. I do think that at that point she possibly could have been injured. I do think that there was an assault that took place based off of this Nine of Swords that's coming out, and I'm seeing the blood. So I do think that there was something that happened and possibly was drugged, assaulted or something, but was definitely being held in one of the empty condominiums. And I do believe that there was more than one person involved, and I'm still going to say that I think that there could have also been a woman involved as well. I don't know to what extent, but there was some woman involved, I think. But we've got they were guarding her. They were guarding her. There was no way. Now I don't know if see if you can see this without the light being so horrible. I don't know if hold on a second. I kind of feel like she may have been drugged or something, or knocked out, maybe knocked out unconscious, but she was absolutely being guarded. So there was no way that she could leave. I mean, they were watching out. There was just no way she could make any kind of noise or anything. She was surrounded by people. And so there was a group of them working together. And I do think that, you know, we've got the Six of Wands. This is like an ego card to me. This is... I look at the way these children are looking at this guy. Okay, so it's like admiration. Okay, they're looking at him in admiration, and I do think that this is kind of going back to the obsession that I'm talking about. I think somebody was really obsessed with her. This is, you know, this here is... You know, I think this really kind of speaks of wanting a relationship with her. This to me, this card, the Nine of Cups, is usually an indulgence card. But in this case, I really think that this person was wanting a relationship with her and was not getting what they want. She was not responding. She just wasn't responding in kind. She wasn't interested in it. And I do think it's the same person that came to her door the night before. Is it okay? Let me just ask really quick. The person who knocked on Jennifer's door the night before, does this person have anything to do? Is this the person that had feelings towards Jennifer? Yeah, he was working. I don't know if this was honestly, at this point, I can't even say that this was a female. or a male. It could have been either one, because I do get a feeling that there is a female involved in this as well. But whoever knocked on her door, I think, is the person that is of concern. And I think that whatever happened that following morning, it started the night before. This was a person that was working towards something. They had a goal in mind, and they were steadily working each and every minute they could to, get into her life somehow, whether it be by coming over and visiting, or offering a glass of wine, or having a drink, or talking outside, or whatever the case may be, which kind of makes me feel like that was another reason why she would always be on the phone when she would get out of her car or go to her car. It might have actually made it easier for her to avoid having to talk to somebody as well. And so I don't think it was just necessarily out of safety measures. I think it was also to avoid trying to have a conversation with somebody that was always trying to conversate with her. And they were working very, very hard to get her attention, or to make her like them or something. And I do think that, this just kind of shows that they were at their wits' end. They were at their wits' end. They were tired of it. They were not getting the response from Jennifer that they wanted. So it just literally, I think that with that reverse strength card just shows me that this person had a nasty, evil side. This was obviously somebody that was very crazy, very psychotic, very not trustworthy. That devil coming out as the first and number one card tells me that this person was very evil. And it was something that she was dealing with, but she had no idea what she was dealing with. Will we ever find Jennifer? Will Jennifer ever be found? Where is Jennifer? Let's see if we can find anything current on Jennifer. Okay, well, let me pull one more. What am I at? 57 minutes. Okay, so we've got 2 6s and a 7. So one of the first things I noticed when I pulled this card is we've got water, and we've also got water here. So it kind of makes me feel like it is a possibility that her current location has something to do with a body of water. It also makes me feel like there were at least 2 or 3 people that possibly took her body out on some water. Maybe this was a place where they needed to access it by boat. But I do feel like that is something that is a possibility. And remember, we pulled the Justice card in the Haunted House Tarot. That Justice, that scale was imbalanced. So, I just don't, it makes me question whether or not they're ever going to be able to solve this case, between the fact that the police department completely botched this case, and the fact that it's possible that, she is in a body of water in Florida, and those scales are not balanced. It really makes me not have a good outlook on that. So, and I do feel like, we've got an exchange of money. We've got an exchange of money. An exchange. So I do think that there are people involved in this case that weren't directly involved in this disappearance that were paid. I do feel like there were people paid off. I really do. I feel like that's what the 6 of Pentacles is. And I don't know who those people are. I don't know if it's law enforcement. I don't know if it's somebody at the condominium building, the owner. I don't know. But there's people that in this case probably know information, and they have been paid to not share any of that information. It could be right down to a witness that's seen something in the parking lot, but I do feel like people have been paid to shut up or keep their mouth closed, and possibly threatened. So I don't think that there's really going to be, it would be a miracle, I think, at this point that they get any new information, because I think People don't want, I think people who know anything, or possibly people who know anything, are not going to say anything. So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. You know, I just, let me just ask one more question. Let me just ask a couple of yes or no questions on some of the suspects. Matt, yes or no? Just a plain yes or no. Was Matt the ex-boyfriend? Was he involved? Matt, the ex-boyfriend. Well, we've got the 8 of Swords, so that's not good. What about the construction worker? Yes or no? Construction worker. Were they involved? Was there a construction worker involved? Yes or no? That's definitely a hard yes. And, you know, this also, to me, with the Star card, also represents more than one. Okay, so I do believe that there are several people involved in this. Hold on a second. Okay, is it possible that Matt hired a construction worker to harm Jennifer? Is it possible that Matt hired a construction worker to harm Jennifer? 10 of Cups, that would be yes. That would explain the, but he had an alibi. Matt had an alibi. He was out drinking that night. Could he have went to her apartment, knocked on her door, wanted to come in, have a drink, maybe had a bottle of wine? He had been drinking already. She sees that it's him. She doesn't want anything to do with him. He was actually desperately in love with her. He wanted to get back. He wanted their relationship to continue. He was absolutely in love with her. But according to this reading, whoever this person was had a bad side as well. And I don't know enough about Matt to really know. Is it possible that he could have done something to her and perhaps he paid the construction workers off to help him dispose of Jennifer? Is that a possibility? I just kind of feel like whoever knocked on her door that night irritated the hell out of her. She was not in the mood. She was tired. She was, you know, probably grouchy. She wanted to go to bed. And whoever this was, she just was not in the mood. And I don't think it was just a friendly neighbor lady down the hallway. There's something going on with that knock on the door. And I do feel like there is definite hardcore loving relationship feelings going on in this reading. And it would also indicate, it would explain the jealousy. Because there's a lot of jealousy going on in this reading as well. He could have been jealous of the current boyfriend. He could have been pissed off that they just went on a 5-day vacation in the Virgin Islands. You know, he just could have been, you know, seething with jealousy. And yet at the same time, you know, in love with her, and possibly if she had just finally given him an absolute no, I'm not interested, could he have lost it? And to me, these two are yes. These are yes cards. You know, that it looks like a young Hispanic man that was parking her car. Was that somebody that he paid to move her car? Did he say, here, go park it and, you know, buy us a couple of days time. Nobody will find it for a while. Is Matt involved in this? Is Matt involved in this? Page of Pentacles, Swords. And then we've got a reversal of the Wheel of Fortune. Could he have made her... Could he have given her an ultimatum? Could he have said it at a certain point, you know, this is it, you're going to have to decide what you want, even though she had already made her decision, maybe he didn't accept it. It kind of makes me feel like, you know, and then we've got this Wheel of Fortune in reverse, and this really just means your luck has went out. You know, your luck has run out, and it can also be a karma card. So, you know, definitely, I'm curious about Matt today. Like, what has... This makes me feel like karma will catch up with whoever did this. I really do feel that way. And so I don't know. I didn't really look into Matt a whole lot. It was just one of those theory things. I'm now more curious about Matt than ever. And it makes me wonder what kind of life he has had in the past 15 years. You know, we've got a cup over here, right? We've got this thing here drinking something. We've got wine that has showed up. We've got wine here. We've got the 10 of Cups. I'd be curious to know if this Matt person has an issue with alcohol. Does this person have a drinking problem? Because whoever this is, I do believe has a drinking problem. And I do, whoever this is, believe that this person was absolutely obsessed and in love with Jennifer and did this out of complete and utter rage because they could not have her. And I do think that there were other people that were paid to get involved to help cover up the tracks. So I think that's where I'm going to end it here. If anybody knows any of the current situation with this Matt guy, please, you know, let me know in the comments section. I would like to know if this Matt person has a problem with drinking, because that's, I think, the person who did this, who is responsible, does have a problem with drinking, and that is part of the karma that they are experiencing for what they've done to Jennifer. So anyway, that's today's video. I'm in an hour and 6 minutes. That's not too bad, right? I hope you enjoyed this. If you guys know anything about this case, or if there's any thing that you've noticed about any of the cards that I didn't pick up, please let me know. And until next time, have a wonderful week, guys. Thank you so much.